Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the last episode of Silver Screen Scrutiny for the year.
The last melon.
I have with me today Tyler Harner, friend from college. He is here to talk with us today. Me and him are going to have a little roundtable kind of discussion about some movies. So, Tyler, if you want to introduce yourself, that'd be great. Let the people know who you are.
Hello, everybody. Great to be on. I've just been listening for all these episodes, and it's just really great to be on there. You had a really fun guest actually last episode, so that was good. Great to see that you're branching out. But as Matt said, went to Ithaca College. Film background. Always wanted to do some writing and directing. Big fan of movies and big fan of talking about them. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, for those of you who watched last week's episode, you'd probably recognize Tyler's voice as the guest. He talked about Krishna and about the New Mutants.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Tyler and I met freshman year of college when we freshman filmmakers, came together one day, like having not met before. Because we were brought together by a mutual friend to try to, make a student film, or it'd be that film. That never went anywhere, but we've been friends ever since, and we've watched tons of movies since. So without further ado, let's get into it. Tyler, again, thanks for being here.
You actually scared me a bit. You said the last episode of Silver Screen Scrutiny, and I was like, "Is this it? You're done after
the last episode for the year? Okay. The last episode for the year." Because things are busy with the holidays and stuff, but we will be in full swing in 2021. So I guess we're going to start things off. It is the year 2020. As 2020 comes to a close, I'm sure everyone watching out there and Tyler and myself, as you all know, we've watched a lot of movies. So let's talk about the year 2020 for movies. Tyler, what have you watched this year? What stood out? What didn't? What did you like? What didn't? But specifically from this year, 2020.
Yeah, I had a lot of very interesting things that came out this year, despite having almost no theatrical releases. I don't know how many movies you saw in theaters. I know we saw one together, but I think I saw in total 3 movies in the theaters, and that was all in the beginning.
I saw one, and it was with you in January.
Yeah, so not a lot of great theater experiences, obviously, in terms of huge movies coming out in the theaters, but definitely some still really solid picks. One actually that's become one of my favorites, and that's technically it did release very late 2019, but it had a wide release in 2020, and I was the one that got to see it in 2020, so I'm counting it for 2020 release, and that's 1917, Sam Mendes' great World War I movie. I can watch that movie over and over again. I just think it's got some of the best music I've heard in the last couple of years. It's so obviously the whole one shot dynamic is so well practiced and just immaculate. It's a really tough feat to be able to do all of that. So I think that's got to be up there. I love all those performances, and I think that movie is one of a kind.
That's actually, we watched that one together. You might have seen it, but you watched that one with me up at school. It was like either right before or right after we went to Canada for spring break.
That was around there. Yep.
We watched it with Evan, and we watched it on the big speaker. Right. We had the audio on the big speaker in my apartment, because you said audio is just as important in this movie as the visuals. And I was blown away. That movie was something else.
Love that one. I was a really big fan of Netflix's original horror release that came out earlier this year called The Platform. Super weird, super gory and gross, but I just love this concept of a 33 floor prison and a platform of food travels from the top platform to the bottom. And I loved it. I thought it was wild. It's such a simple concept, and it's just all takes place all in this concrete just building, and I thought it was great. Loved it. I need to watch that one again sometime soon. I know you saw that one too.
I did. I watched that one after you had watched it. You had told me about it.
I did.
For those who haven't seen it, it's actually it's not in English. It is a foreign film, but it was really, really interesting. Depending on how you look at it, but most people look at it this way. It actually is an allegory for classism and capitalism, and the people at the top get everything, and the people at the bottom, they miss out. But it was really, really interesting. And it's funny because I always think, I don't know if you ever had heard of this book, but the 33-Story Prison reminded me of, if you've ever heard of the book Sideways Stories from Wayside School about
I think I have heard
the
of that.
school
Yeah.
that was supposed to be built 33 floors or 33 like.
That's funny, actually.
Like,
I do remember
33
that.
floors tall instead. I remember that, but it reminded me of that. But yeah, no, really interesting movie with the like it gets violent at times.
Oh yeah.
For just 2 people per floor, like it's interesting. I did enjoy that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna go to another Netflix pick. Actually, it's The Devil All the Time. I thought that was just like a really dark, really intense, story. But it's really it kind of it bases off of the narrative structure. I think really well, going like kind of having a chapter segment going from the father's life into the son's, and Tom Holland I think gives his best performance we've seen. I love that accent he does. It's great. He gets very dark at times, and Robert Pattinson is that just skeevy, awful pastor who's just such a bastard. But I love everyone in this movie. I think they give a really great performance. Bill Skarsgård too. Bill Skarsgård.
I think that movie, if I'm not mistaken, which I could be, but if I'm not mistaken, that's actually Tom Holland's first live action role post Spider-Man. Or since he's been in the Spider-Man movies, because he's not done being Spider-Man, but post MCU Spider-Man, this is Tom Holland's first live action role. I think
he's been in a couple other things. He's been
live
in
action
smaller ones.
Oh, okay.
I don't know about but like since Far From Home, but he was in one called Lost City of Z.
Oh, okay. So, but I know for me at least, and a couple people I talked to that watched it was kind of like, would we be able to watch this movie without just seeing Spider-Man? And I think he established himself well as like somebody who's able to take on different roles of like one's a fantasy superhero and one's like a more grounded kind of guy. But I enjoyed it. For me, I did enjoy the movie, but unfortunately for me, I think I anticipated the movie more than I actually enjoyed it.
Had a little more hype than you thought.
I was looking forward to it a lot. I was like, oh, it's gonna be great cast. Like this looks really interesting. And then when I watched it, I was like, okay, yeah, that was good, but like it's not quite what I was expecting. I think I was expecting more from it, but I did enjoy it, and I do love the storytelling style. And none of the performances like I thought were bad. Like I thought they were. I just was hoping for a little bit more, but I did enjoy it as well. It was a solid like thriller drama for the year.
No, yeah. Some of my other picks, I really like Charlie Kaufman's I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
That's a weird one.
Really strange movie, but I don't know. I just really like the kind of the way they talked in that movie and some of the things they say about just the repetition of life and what it all means. Charlie Kaufman's really good at kind of making you break down and think about some things like that. So I really like that. I would love I forget her name, the actress in that. I thought she was fantastic. Right along with Jesse Plemons. Yeah. That's right. Her name. Yeah, I think her name was Jesse.
Yeah. That movie is definitely a weird one. I think depending on who you are as a movie person, if you like movies or if you just like are looking for something to watch, I think that's the kind of movie that you kind of need to know you're getting into a weird one before you watch it.
Yeah.
Because if you watch it and you're not expecting what you're going to be like, you're probably going to hate it. So I think for people to understand that, it's Charlie Kaufman, guy's a kook, this movie's weird, then you can kind of be like, then you kind of open your mind a little bit more.
Yeah, no, it's definitely more of an abstract kind of concept.
But it was very well done.
Yeah, no, I got to go back and check that one out again sometime. I'm sure seeing things again will be really helpful. I watched a great documentary earlier this year called Feels Good Man. This is about I have it right here. It's Matt Fury is his name. He's the creator of Pepe the Frog, and it's kind of his story about the creation of Pepe the Frog, how it kind of turned into this hate symbol, how it was like, put on 4chan for, Trump supporters and this kind of alt-right movement to be used as hate speech, and like kind of also his fight on trying to reclaim its honor and its glory. And it's really fun and it's really creative, and they do some really cool animation with kind of telling the story with it. And Matt Fury is kind of this quirky, quiet little dude, and he's really fun to like listen talk about all this stuff. And it's really cool, and I think it's a really fun story. And everyone knows Pepe the Frog. I feel like if people who know like meme culture definitely are like into that kind of thing, this is definitely a really cool documentary to check out because it's really fun and it's really definitely an interesting story. So
you told me to check that one out. I haven't gotten to it yet, but it's definitely like the way you talked about it, and it just seems so interesting. Like a meme, which like now everyone is familiar with, is like the story behind it. I'd love to check that one out.
It is really cool. Yeah. Another one. I'm gonna go to like 10. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So on number 6 is like my 6th pick. Is Get Duked. This was one that was put on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
And I was actually really hooked just from the trailer. I thought it was going to be so much fun, and it really was. It's this like 4 boys just getting hunted by this maniacal serial killer in the British Highlands, and they have no idea how to deal with it. And I thought it was just a riot. It's these kids have no idea what they're doing, and they end up having great chemistry together. It was just a lot of fun, and I thought it was just a really cool, exciting thriller that is a little different from some of the things that Amazon Prime usually puts on. So
we were together in New Hampshire when we first watched the trailer for that.
Yeah, no, I suggested it. I thought it would be fun.
Yeah, so I was after we watched the trailer, I was like, all right, that like I'm gonna have to check that one out. And then I saw that you had watched it, and I saw your review of it, and I was like, okay, no, I'm definitely watching this one because you loved it, and I watched it. And from the minute it started, you're just like, what kind of movie you're getting. You're like, this is just gonna be a fun, like crazy batshit kind of what's going on kind of movie. And it was just that, like Eddie Izzard as the antagonist.
That's right.
It's great. He's just roaming around in like a mask with the gun. It's fun stuff. It's definitely a fun movie with some really interesting characters. But it's very British, if you could describe it that way, because like the characters and the way, like obviously like they are English, but like their words, like their vocabulary, a lot is they use the vocabulary they use is very, very, very like English, and very like it's got that that dialect and like
it's definitely
it's fun. It's just kind of fun to hear as someone who doesn't speak that way. It's fun to listen to.
They're definitely a fun bunch. Next is actually my favorite courtroom drama of the year. This is the first of the Small Axe films that Steve McQueen is doing, and this is called Mangrove, actually. And it's this really cool story about this restaurant owner in Notting Hill who during like the 1970s who kind of gets swept up into this like civil rights movement on just kind of how the police treat black people. And it's this great courtroom drama. I thought that these just like the battle between the police and the justice system and the lawyers and everything, and between the defendants, it's just so inherently compelling. And it was smart, it was fun, and I had a lot of good. It was a great film, especially for this year. So that was, I think, definitely up there for me. I think people should check that out. I don't know if you know that on Amazon Prime, Steve McQueen is releasing 5 films.
I've seen them. Yeah, I've seen them on your come up each one on your profile. So I've looked at the related films and I've seen them all. So like that looks pretty interesting. I don't know much about them besides like a general premise of the series he's doing. Yeah. But I've been saying that you've been knocking them out, so I'll probably get to them eventually. They seem really interesting.
Mangrove these are all have been pretty solid. Mangrove is probably my favorite. Mangrove is also it's the longest. The other ones are relatively short, usually under 90 minutes. But this one's about 2 hours. And it's really they're all really, really great social justice movies, and Steve McQueen has his great touch on them, so definitely would recommend those. I'll bring those up in my like honorable mentions.
Okay.
Next is another one that was on Amazon Prime, has been knocking them out this year. I gotta say, they've been putting out some quality content. They just put out recently, actually, called Sound of Metal with Riz Ahmed.
Yes.
And it's about this metal drummer who has been doing this all his life, and his hearing is just like basically gone, and he has to adapt quickly to just this lifestyle because he knows that he can't fix it, really. There's no big solution, and there's just this great connection with him and this deaf community he finds, and Riz Ahmed, I kind of really liked before. I really like him in Rogue One. He's great in some other things I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but
he was in Venom.
Yes, also that he's not great in Venom, but other things.
He was in Nightcrawler, which he's awesome in.
Yes, that's a good example. Absolutely. But yeah, this is his top. He's amazing in this. He shows so much emotion and anger, and his transformation from this just angry guy who doesn't want to be a part of this community. He just wants to fix things. He doesn't want to learn new things. He bonds really well with these people, and his transformation is really great. And I think there's a really great lesson in this. I don't want to get too spoilery, but he gets a cochlear implant at one point in the movie, just because he thinks it's gonna like solve everything and he's gonna be able to hear again. And the sound design in this movie is really cool because it often just goes from like regular what you can hear normally to what he is hearing, which is like this very faded, like dull, muted everything. And when he puts the cochlear implant in, you can kind of, I don't know what it actually sounds like, but
yeah,
it's like imitating sound almost. And it's this scene where he thinks it's going to be back to normal, and the doctor keeps like changing the settings, and you just see his face kind of drop as he realizes it's not going to be the same as it was. And the emotion he shows in that alone is so impressive. And I thought it was really, really great movie, really powerful. Riz Ahmed, A+. I hope he gets
I'm definitely checking that one out very soon.
Definitely worth watching. Going back to comedies, number 9 for me this year was the second Borat movie.
Okay.
What a riot. I honestly went into it thinking I didn't think you could get to the quality of the first one, but all these long con gimmicks they do, this weird relationship with the daughter, just the sheer balls they're able to conjure to do these things is immaculate and so goddamn funny. So I have to give credit to Sacha Baron Cohen and the actress that plays his daughter for doing all those things. And I just thought it was a wild time.
I remember watching it and I was just thinking the same thing. I'm like, there's just no way this is going to be as good as the first, because the first is just unparalleled in terms of its humor. So I was like, this isn't going to be this is just not going to be that good. And because I thought that the entire time, I ended up not enjoying it as much as I wanted to. But for me, that movie's kind of turned into like the 2 Borat movies have kind of turned into the 2 Ted movies. The first one is awesome, and the second one is really good. But the more I watch the second one, the funnier it gets.
Yeah, I guess that might be the case. I have only seen the second one once, so maybe I'll have to go back to it.
No, it's the more I watch it, the more I enjoy it, because I've now watched the second Borat a handful of times, and it is getting funnier every time I watch it, because it's just crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'll have to go back to that one. And then my 10th movie for the year is, streaming sites is going back. HBO put out Hugh Jackman in Bad Education, which was really good. Oh my God, I love seeing Hugh Jackman outside of musical and superhero roles, because when he gets to do these intense roles, he's so freaking good. Like, I don't know if you've seen Denis Villeneuve's Prisoners, but him in that is so great. I love the intensity he brings, and especially in this, he's like this just super nice guy, knows everyone's names, is just the best, and he just turns into this maniacal, like crazy sociopath, and it's so methodical, and it's really intense, and
it's based on a true story, which is also
that's him.
Really interesting.
Yep, him and Allison Janney, I think, are fantastic.
Allison Janney's great in everything. I haven't seen anything that I just like.
She certainly is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is my top. That's my 10th right there.
All right, that's a pretty solid list. I guess I'm gonna hit a couple that I enjoyed, and then we'll talk about what we didn't like. So for the year, I think probably for the release of 2020, my standout film, like my all-time that I've enjoyed, has been The Trial of the Chicago 7.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I am a huge Aaron Sorkin fan. I know a lot of people, especially film people, like to bash Aaron Sorkin because they say nobody writes like that, nobody speaks like that. Like, why would he write characters that way? Like, they're too pretentious, whatever. I think what he does with scripts and characters is incredible and second to none. And again, Sacha Baron Cohen was in it, and he was fantastic.
Yes,
I really enjoyed the cast, and I really think that everyone in the cast did justice to the roles that they were playing because it's based on a true story. And I'm a big history guy, so I know a lot about the actual event. So like knowing who these people actually were, I think that the actors did very well to represent them. But like it's one of those, again, like the small axe ones. It's topical. Even though this was in the 60s, like the messages are still the same today, and you know, it's not going anywhere. I think the movie was really well done, and especially, you know, for when it came out and everything going on this year, like it blew me away.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a great protest movie. I think my favorite performance goes to Mark Rylance in that one. I really love him.
Fantastic. I really enjoyed Mark Rylance.
Really good.
Another one I really enjoyed this year was the Hulu original Palm Springs with Andy Samberg and Chris. And who was it? Kristen Milioti? Yeah. Really enjoyed that one. It kind of came out of nowhere for me. Because, you know, a lot of movies where characters realize they're, you know, living the same thing, like Groundhog's Day, and, you know, all those movies where like you just watch the same thing over and over, it gets stale after a while.
Yeah, sometimes.
Like even the characters feel they get stale. And like obviously that happens here. Like the characters feel it gets stale, but like them being aware of the fact that there's like in this time loop, and then like there's not really anything they can do about it. So they're like, okay, how can we make each day something fun and exciting and new? It's just so entertaining because the things they do is just wild. And J.K. Simmons as like the like kind of minor hunter. Awesome. And that movie actually had my favorite shot that I've seen in a movie this year, when Andy Samberg is laying in the pool float and the camera's overhead and you just see the pool and him floating in it. It wasn't like a crazy impressive shot, but I was really just like, for the tone of the movie, and then for like just definitely everything I've watched this year, like the shot was really, really like it kind of stood out to me. I really enjoyed watching that, so I like that.
That one's definitely, I like that one too. I thought that was fun.
Another one I enjoyed was this documentary I watched called Crip Camp, which is made by someone that actually has a connection to my family. This guy who made it went to the same high school that my mom and her siblings went to, and knew my grandmother. My grandmother was this guy's mentor for the WISE program. And the WISE program is a program that's now been copied all over the United States, but it started in this school district where it's kind of like your senior internship program. That's what it is. Okay. And it started at my mom's school. And so like to watch this documentary by this guy was really impressive. It's a documentary about this camp for disabled students or disabled people back in the 70s. And people from all over went upstate New York with all these disabilities. They were like campers, and they would like, just like you and me, they would go to camp, like sleepaway camp, and they would like play games and do stuff at camp. And there's raw footage from counselors that were filming at this camp back in the 70s on like VHSs, basically, on like your camcorders. And it's just footage of these people at this camp. And it goes into the whole movement for, you know, people with disabilities, like rights for people with disabilities, and like how they went to, you know, California, like San Francisco and the big cities to like march and protest for their rights. It was really, really interesting. But like to see this like firsthand footage of these kids at a sleepaway camp for kids with disabilities is really, really interesting. And I really enjoyed it. I also enjoyed it because I got to speak to the director. I reached out to him saying, hey, like we have this connection. I got to speak to him on the phone and talk to him about it. It was really, really remarkable stuff. So I enjoyed that.
Very cool.
Another movie I had a lot of fun with was the new Bad Boys movie. That one really surprised me because, you know, they're the buddy cop films. The first two are kind of like very formulaic, you know, they're very predictable. They follow the same exact pattern, but they're fun. This movie was really, really fun. It was really well edited. The colors were vibrant and you know, down in Miami, it was really exciting. And it was very, very funny. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence together are funny. You know, Will Smith is very funny, but them together in this movie, it surprisingly did the rest of the series justice, and I enjoyed it a lot. I didn't expect to enjoy it that much, but it was directed by two guys, and those two guys I think did a really, really good job with it.
Having no connection, I guess, to the first two. It's pretty impressive to do that after like 17 or so years.
Exactly, because the first one was, a lot. Yeah. I watched so a movie you and I saw in theaters. The only one I saw in theaters was The Gentleman, Guy Ritchie. I enjoyed it. I like Guy Ritchie's films are very, very stylized, and they follow the same kind of pattern as most directors' films do. But I enjoyed it because the premise is one of those like long con type of premises, and each character is really, really unique and brings something different to the table. McConaughey is great, and McConaughey works with actually a cast of a majority of international actors, which I really like, because you get to see a lot of different like cultures in these characters, and then they mesh, and I really enjoyed it. Great soundtrack, great editing on that movie. As the only movie I saw in theaters, because again it's been a weird year. It was a cool experience to have, which was for only one movie in theaters.
Yeah.
I guess I'll take that one. And then depending on where you live, this movie was released this year potentially. I watched it this year, but Queen and Slim.
Oh yeah.
That
Actually,
movie,
I considered that. I didn't consider that for this year. I think
that movie blew me away.
It's a good one. Yeah, I really like that one.
Because I mean, again, topical. Kaluuya is great, and the actress in it, Jodie Turner-Smith, that's like her like big screen debut or whatever. Like she crushed it. I really enjoyed that movie. I loved the story. I loved the urgency, because these two people on the run, and the whole country was listening to this story. Like I think it was a really, really, really interesting kind of chase throughout the entire movie. Yeah. And then I'll go through one more maybe, and then we can get into what we didn't like. But one other movie that I watched this year that I enjoyed was The Five Bloods.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Rest in peace, Chadwick, an icon. His role in that was awesome. I really enjoyed a lot of the technical aspects of that movie. How the movie would change from regular format to the old school format when they were filming with their camcorder in the 70s, and it would change mid-scene, because it would go from what we're watching to what they're watching when somebody's filming in the set. I thought that was really, and the aspect ratio would change, because Spike Lee used the equipment in this that was available in the 70s to film those, to give it authentic feel. I really enjoyed that, and I also really liked how the main characters played themselves in the flashbacks. So it was like we were going back in time, but we were staying with these characters. I really appreciated that. Delroy Lindo was great. One of his better roles, I think. And I loved the culmination of that. Was just really fun. So that was definitely those are probably some solid choices that I watched that came out this year. I'll go on. Again, it was a weird year, so it wasn't necessarily a great year for movies, but it also wasn't a bad year for movies.
No, by no means, no.
By no means. But there were some duds, which we're going to get into now, because definitely. I know we have both watched movies that we thought were awful this year. So let's hear it. What do you got?
No, I don't have a lot that I like absolutely hated. I have a couple for sure. But some ones I guess I didn't like as much. There was this movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It was a Prime release called 7500, and it was like his plane. He's a pilot, and his plane gets hijacked, and his wife is like the host there, the flight attendant,
stewardess.
Like she gets held hostage, and he's got to like make a decision, and like it was like intense, but like. I don't know. I wasn't into it that much. It wasn't. I usually love Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and I didn't really buy into his role here. I don't have too much to say about it. I just wasn't. On it. I didn't really like the Tom Hanks Greyhound movie that much.
I didn't like that one either.
It was really just I just don't think you can do a war movie like that in 90 minutes. I feel like you need a lot more time to set the scene, set the stage, and like get this character. A little bit more connectable and
one thing I didn't love about that movie is that it's about like warfare on the water, which is kind of cool. Like ship battles and stuff, but the entire movie was on the water on the same ship. So it felt like I was just watching one long scene. But it wasn't like a one shot. It was just like the same long, dragged out scene on the one ship.
No, it was. I didn't quite realize.
It lost my interest.
Like that. An American Pickle was kind of a miss for me. There were some funny moments, I guess, but it really went in a strange direction that I didn't think was
weird.
Good,
Yeah.
I was actually really looking forward to this one. Ever since I saw the trailer, I was like, "What? Like, this is gonna be wild. This is gonna be cool." And it's the horror movie Antebellum.
Okay.
With what's her name? Janelle Monáe.
Janelle
Monáe. Sorry,
yeah.
Janelle Monáe. Yeah, and it's like so like it's like she wakes up and she's like in slavery. Like she's back in 1800s where she's enslaved on a plantation. And then like there's these flashbacks, like not these, there's like these alternate I guess they're flashbacks. They're kind of like cutaways to her living like a normal life in like modern day, like present day. And it built this like odd mystery of like, is she like in this time fractured thing? But like then it just turns out like that was before, and then she got kidnapped and brought to this just plantation in Louisiana where they've just been kidnapping black people for like 100 years to like reenact enslavement. And it's like, really, that's where you chose to go here? And it no one noticed. No one
said anything. That's
yeah. And it had this like strange like concept to it in the beginning that I was like, okay, where's this going? This has some intrigue. Like, are we doing some like strange time thing here where like there was a clear thing where she's like an activist, like she like works for obviously for black rights, and I thought like there was going to be like this thing where like she has to like work through the different times of like learn lessons from both things to like, I don't know, and that would have been something. But like there was this weird, it turned into like a horror slasher in the last third, and I lost me by so much, and I was so just out of it by the end. So I did rant on a little bit for that one, but I just it was a really weird one. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you watched this one, and it was a really just irresistible, the political.
Oh, the Jon Stewart one.
Yeah. Ooh,
yeah. Didn't like it.
Real stinker there. That was not the political movie we needed this year. You got Steve Carell. I mean,
he's great.
He's so good, but it just didn't feel like they gave him any leeway on this one. There was no sense of improvisational fun. But yeah, just a real miss. Weird movie, horror movie with Kevin James as a Nazi killer called Becky. Terrible. Really gross, and Joel McHale dies in it, and it's just a whole thing. Real bad. Don't watch it. I know you didn't like this one either, because we watched it together, and that's Scoob.
I was so disappointed.
Such a bummer, man. So terrible.
Ugh.
Just one of the worst movies I've seen in a long time. It was such a letdown.
As a guy,
original creator, yeah, I know you're such a big fan. Yeah,
listen, as a guy who grew up watching, like worshiping Scooby-Doo, as a guy who has a Scooby-Doo pillow that I've had since I was 6, I was like, this is it. This is my childhood. Like, I'm ready. And it was just like they tried to bring in like superheroes and then like mesh boomerang cartoons, and it was just like, come on.
Weird.
Simon Cowell was in it. Like,
no,
disappointed.
Didn't like it.
Yep.
Did not like it.
With cast too was not good.
What's that? Oh yeah,
Will Forte is Shaggy.
Nothing worked. Nothing worked.
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
Yeah, bummer. I got two more. My last one. My last two. There was a really awful horror movie with Kevin Bacon and Amanda Seyfried called "You Should Have Left," and it was so bad. It was just boring. It was just really weird. She's like an actress, and there was this really weird scene where like he comes to set while she's doing like this like sex scene,
and
then you just see like it's just like a long shot of just a long shot close up of it's just his face as he just like hears her moaning, and it was so weird. But like that wasn't even the worst part. There was just so many other awful horror tropes they tried to throw in.
Ugh.
Bad, dumb, awful.
Yeah.
And then my bottom, I've already talked about it. New Mutants.
New Mutants. Garbage.
Terrible.
Yep.
Garbage. Yeah, and that was it. I really the ones I really disliked were from Antebellum on.
Okay.
I honestly I didn't the other ones I didn't mind. I just didn't think were all that great.
Yeah.
One I didn't think was a particularly great movie, and it was a little disappointing, but I still thought was kind of fun. Was Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
I had some redeemable moments for me, but
Entertaining.
overall nothing great
Yeah.
for me. But yeah, what about you?
Well, so surprisingly, New Mutants was not the worst movie I watched this year. It was bad.
Wow.
But for 2020 releases, it was not the worst. No, the worst movie, hands down, that I watched this year was a Bruce Willis action movie called Hard Kill.
Oh man, that's funny. I actually just watched the video on that.
it was so bad.
That's funny.
It felt I went direct to video basically because of 2020, but it like felt like it was even worse than the typical quality you find with a direct to video movie. Bruce Willis is like obviously like this aging father who is like he's out of it, but you pull him back for one more mission. And then, he's got this team of mercenaries and his daughter's involved. I don't even remember how his daughter's involved. Like I just can't remember.
I don't know what's going on with Bruce Willis lately. He's just been doing so much.
Dude, but the action like movies. There were continuity errors left and right. Like oh my God, I couldn't sit through it. I was like, this is so bad. But yeah, tough. New Mutants was garbage. I saw that one at a drive-in movie, as like a movie theater experience, I guess, but it was not good at all. I was shit talking it the entire time.
Yep.
I watched this Megan Fox movie called Rogue. I have not seen Megan Fox in something in a long time, and here she leads this like team of mercenaries who are like rescuing the daughter of some billionaire or something, and like one of her team gets captured or something. I don't know, but it was it was exactly what you'd expect, but it was all this schlocky dialogue too. Like, oh yeah, that's Megan Fox. She's the leader of our team. She's the best to ever do it. And then she's like, and then she says something like, yeah, I was the best. And then, the accident, but I'm back. And it was just like, it was garbage. It was garbage.
Oh,
but yeah. I also watched this awful movie with with Vince Vaughn, the kid with the long hair from Booksmart, and like the
I remember.
And the kid, I'm trying to think what you would know him from. He was in the new Wet Hot American Summer series as the teenage version of Andy.
All right. Well, I don't remember, but all right.
But it was like, it's kind of like The Purge, where everything is illegal, but one night a year, everyone's allowed to like do drugs and party and stuff like that. So there's this massive event. It's called The Binge. And there's like this big event or whatever. And like, everyone just tries to get as fucked up as possible. And the main kid, Skylar Gizondo, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He's like, yeah, I'm going to ask this girl out. And he's like the entire movie, he's like working it up to ask her out on the binge. It was so bad. It was dumb. It was, oh my God, it was awful. And then, Scoob we talked about was awful. And then my last one that I'll talk about was I watched this Vin Diesel movie called Bloodshot.
I know. Yeah.
Where he's like a superhero. It tried so hard to be like a Marvel movie, and the movie itself tried so hard in the dialogue to set itself up for like a cinematic universe.
Oh no.
It was awful. Like in the dialogue, it was saying shit like, yeah, well, the next time we get together, things might not be so easy. When I team up with this guy. And I'm like, oh, come on. Like, are you kidding me? Like, it was so bad.
Yeah, that's like I'm pretty sure it's like a comic book like franchise, the Bloodshot.
It is.
Thing.
And it was
good.
It wasn't directed by him, but it was like Michael Bay level of like quick cuts and explosions and like whatever. Like it was pretty bad. So
that's no fun.
Yeah, 2020 had its ups and it definitely had its downs. But
yeah, no, I guess some other honorable mentions.
Yes, honorable mentions.
Talk about all the the Small Axe films.
Yeah.
that came out this so far. All except the final fifth one have, and they've all been really good. Second one is this really cool, like musical kind of personal story.
Okay.
Third one is a really kind of a police drama with John Boyega.
Okay.
And this most recent one is a story of this writer Alex Wheatle and his kind of interesting abusive life, and I've liked them all so far. So I recommend all of those. I recommend because I thought it was fun. The SpongeBob Sponge on the Run movie.
Okay. I haven't seen any of
It's nowhere near. You're not going to get the first movie quality.
Yeah, I've only seen the first movie. Yeah.
The second one I just really didn't like. I didn't like the style of animation, but this one sticks to one style and it's fun. It's vibrant. It's got some great, just good references, some fun humor, and the end is like a really nice love letter to like why people love SpongeBob. And I thought it was nice. And it's basically the Where's Gary episode, just longer. But
I like the Where's Gary episode. That's
it's the same plot. Gary gets
yeah.
But it's nice, and I thought a recommendation. What else I got? I'm looking through my list here. Kelly Reichardt's First Cow. It doesn't get like a lot of.
I gotta watch that one. It's still on my list.
It's a really like kind of slow, nice comfort movie. It's kind of low stakes, but it's a really nice story, and I like the actors in it. And it's just kind of a quaint, well directed, nice little tale. So I think it was definitely worth recommending that one.
Yeah, I gotta get to that one.
Actually, one I just watched earlier today called My Octopus Teacher. It's this guy who kind of lives in this bay by a kelp reef and goes in every day and visits this octopus and like forms this bond with her. And it's like, I don't know, it's really nice. And they got this really cool underwater camera work. And it's really, really cute. It's really wholesome at times. And it's a little sad near the end for reasons I won't give away. But it's a really nice documentary. Nice and a little short. It's on Netflix. Worth checking out.
Okay. I'll look into it.
Yeah. A horror movie that came out that I thought was really good this year was on Netflix called His House. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a story about these refugees from Sudan kind of moving into the UK as refugees. And it's this kind of survivor's guilt they have, and like these demons kind of haunt them throughout about their kind of their journeys and things. And it's really original and it's really creepy, and I thought it was a really good horror movie. So those are my honorable mentions.
So I got like two honorable mentions. I got The Banker with Anthony Mackie and Samuel L. Jackson, based on a true story. It's about them as two black men in like the 60s, I'm pretty sure, trying to get into real estate, and like obviously they can't because they're black, and like banks won't give them loans and stuff. So they have a white person do their business, like represent them, like, and be the business, like be the face of the business. Meanwhile, they're pulling all the strings behind the scenes. It's kind of like Black Klansman a little bit, where Adam Driver is in Washington's place. But it was really interesting, and I really enjoyed the story it told. And then another honorable mention of mine was actually The Invisible Man. I enjoyed that.
I should mention that one too. I like that one a lot too. I thought it was some cool special effects, and
I
love Elizabeth Moss. She's
I like Elizabeth Moss, and I like Aldous Hodge, who is her friend that she with.
He's good too.
I've seen him in a lot of stuff, so that's that. But also in The Lovebirds, we watched that one together.
That was fun.
Kumail Nanjiani. That one was fun. I enjoyed that one. So so that's 2020 in a nutshell. But let's just quickly, I know we don't have that much time, but let's get a little broader. What did you watch this year that wasn't necessarily released this year that you liked, and what didn't you like? Maybe just give me 3 that you liked, 3 that you didn't.
I decided to go into some samurai movies this year. Checked out a good amount of those earlier in July. So, Seven Samurai I watched this year and blew me away. Just an amazing story. Right. I know you watched it too.
Yeah,
just really amazing.
Yes, absolutely.
I saw Blind Spotting this year too. I know you're a big fan of that one as well.
Love that one.
Fantastic movie. Daveed Diggs, just A+. I watched the Before trilogy, Sunrise, Sunset, Midnight. Amazing love story. Is probably
Richard
honestly
Linklater,
my
right?
favorite. What?
Linklater?
Yes, Richard Linklater. Yeah, I think probably my favorite love story in film now. It's just so
Yeah.
raw and it's beautiful, but heartbreaking. And yeah. And then one more, I'd say. Actually, I'm gonna give two more. I got two more.
Yeah.
One is Denis Villeneuve's. I never know how to pronounce it, but I'm Incendies.
Incendies, yeah.
Super crazy family story. Amazing cinematography. Some really intense scenes. Some crazy twists. I'm a huge fan of that director, so
I'm gonna get to that
a little
one.
more drawn to that one. But
Yeah.
And then one I think is really cool. I've told you about it. Is Victoria. It's the true one-shot movie. It's over 2 hours of just this crazy night in I think it's Ireland, something, Germany, some European city. It's so impressive what they're able to do, and it's like one of the coolest plays I've ever seen, because it's basically
That's really cool.
So yeah, those would be probably some of my highlights of new ones I've seen this year.
Cool. Some quick highlights of mine. I watched Snowpiercer for the first time this year.
That's right.
Which I loved. It blew me away. I actually reviewed it in one of my videos. It was actually I think the second review video. It blew me away. A huge international cast with a great story, and Bong Joon-ho is just the guy knows what he's doing. I really enjoyed that one. I remember I posted, I was watching it, and I had like 6 or 7 people say like, "You've never seen this?" Like, "Oh, you're in for a treat." Like, that one was good. Another one I really liked, I watched the Peanuts movie this year, and I loved it. I loved it. As someone who, I really enjoy like really wholesome cartoons and like groups of friends, like that kind of thing. Like, I really enjoy that kind of thing. And this movie like did all like the Peanuts comics justice, especially for me. I spent the entirety of my first semester of senior year in an acting class working with the play Dog Sees God. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's about it's the Peanuts characters as like teenagers. It's kind of like the all grown up, like the Rugrats kind of thing. And I worked with that play like for a monologue and a scene. So like I really connected to those characters. So watching this movie, I was like, I had like a connection already to these characters, and the animation was beautiful. The story was really kid friendly and wholesome, but I loved it. I loved watching the group. It was a really, really fun one. And then one more that I have right here that I enjoyed watching this year was Everybody Wants Some, which is this fun college movie. I wrote this big review about it because I was, after graduation, I watched it and I was all in my feels, about getting our senior year cut short and stuff. But it was just about like those first couple days before your freshman year at college start, and you're just meeting those friends and hanging out without a care in the world. And great soundtrack. It was so 70s style. It was another Linklater actually. But it was very, very true to the style and the atmosphere of the 80s or the 70s. I think it's the 80s when it takes place. And it was just so fun. I love watching the movie.
No, I saw that one this year too. I like that one.
That was a really good one. Yeah. But Seven Samurai, which you recommended, was good. I watched a lot of good stuff this year.
Yeah. What about anything not this year that was terrible for you?
Yeah. Cats, which came out last year. I watched it though because I want to be able to say I've seen it, and it's one of those movies where it's so bad that it makes you really appreciate how good other movies are. Yeah, because it is bad, and I know you haven't seen it, but dude, it is. I don't want to. No. Oh my god, it is. There are some I'm still wondering why some really respected actors chose to be in that movie. And it's even funny to me that Tom Hooper directed that, and he's like, it was awful, but he's done some great films like A King's Speech. Stuff like that. So I don't know, but that Cats was awful. I got it right here. Cats, the Emoji Movie, awful. Yep. Garbage, absolute garbage. And then I watched Mile 22, which is this movie from Peter Berg, which is like this action movie about Mark Wahlberg and this team. It's got Iko Uwais in it, and he's great in other stuff, and his action in this is great, but like the movie itself is garbage. And it's weird because I watched other Peter Berg movies this year that were awesome, but that movie was just like an outlier. It was so bad. But so I've definitely watched some duds that didn't come out this year, but they were bad.
It's funny, even the Netflix trailer, the like thing they show when you put your cursor over it is like it's you can tell it's terrible.
For
Like
mile 22.
it's like already the quick cuts and
Yeah.
the misleading jargon that doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
Yeah, it was garbage. What about you?
Yeah.
What you like?
You know, it's funny. Me and my roommate George.
Yeah.
I know you know, but
Yes.
we watched a David Zucker movie actually recently.
Okay.
And it was so awful. I hated every minute of it. It was called An American Carol, and
I've
it's
never even heard of it.
a parody of Michael Moore doing like his documentaries.
Okay.
But it was so nothing was funny. Okay, there was like one funny joke at the end, I think.
Okay.
But it was literally like Republican, like heavy, like extremist Republican propaganda, and it like honestly just failed at every turn. It was so ironic and so terrible, and I literally just don't recommend it to anyone because it's not fun. It's not a fun movie to watch.
Noted.
So some ones that were terrible, but I had a great time with were the Birdemic movies.
Of course. I also watched those this year.
Velocipaster was
Insert SFX here.
such a riot. On Thanksgiving, we watched a movie called Thanksgiving about a turkey that kills people on Thanksgiving,
okay.
but not because of revenge for Thanksgiving turkeys. It's because white people invaded the Native Americans' land. So
if you're gonna kill, that's a very good reason to do it. If you're a turkey,
yeah.
If you're a turkey,
Sure.
If you're a turkey,
and then I watched Neil Breen's Twisted Pair.
Gotta get to it. I gotta watch it.
Oh my god, what a movie!
I can't believe you committed suicide.
You know, so actually, I learned recently that Fateful Findings, his most popular one, has been put on Prime for $15. So I'm gonna have to get it soon. One of these. No, well, yeah, one of these days, I think I'm gonna give it a purchase. If I will actually see what happens for Christmas, I might end up purchasing the 5-film retrospective for $150. We'll see. We'll see how the holidays go.
Oh my god!
But yeah, that's about it for me.
All right, listen, we've watched a lot of movies, some good, some bad, but it's been quite the year. You know,
Certainly.
For all you viewers out there, Tyler and I were partners supposed to make our senior thesis this year, the biggest project of our college career, and we didn't even
we were close.
Put out the front door to go film, which sucks. But yeah, it is what it is. But
it is what it is.
You know, for two film lovers, we definitely had a year that we definitely had the perfect year to just be lazy and watch movies, which is always fun. Yeah. So I guess there's that. Let's really quickly dive into these new highly anticipated,
Oh yeah,
dude,
I have some of them.
Obi-Wan Kenobi series with Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, that's gonna be big. That's gonna be
big. I'm excited.
Yeah, a lot of those have been. I literally didn't even know that there were going to be so many announcements.
Yeah, right.
Past. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Marvel and Star Wars content.
How about MCU confirmed Fantastic Four?
Yeah, it's happening. No cast yet, but we'll see.
I told my dad, and my dad goes, "Chris Evans better not be Human Torch." I was like, "Don't worry, Dad," but I was happy because my dad knew that.
Don't worry, Chris Evans is going to be Buzz Lightyear.
Buzz Lightyear, yeah, and directed by Martin Scorsese.
Is that really? Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Oh my god.
I think. I don't know.
I don't know.
I thought that was like he's directing him or something. I don't know.
I don't know what's happening anymore.
Yeah, but that's that. The Ant-Man and the Wasp third movie has
dumb title.
Some dumb title, but Kang the Conqueror is cast
by Jonathan Majors. Yeah, that's gonna be good.
I'm looking forward to that. He might be the next big bad. That could be cool.
Mm-hmm.
And Mandalorian has been awesome this season.
It certainly has. Yeah, big finale coming up. Very excited.
Yeah, I actually haven't watched this week's episode. I got to watch it, but it's been pretty good.
Oh,
yeah. So listen, Tyler, thank you for joining.
Of course.
We for all you viewers, we were supposed to have a third person. He couldn't join, so maybe next time. But again, this is my last video of the year.
Ever. Never another one.
Never making videos again. We'll see what 2020 has in store. But I'm closing out the year with this roundtable discussion. Got a kind of busy rest of the year with work and stuff like that. So We'll both be watching more movies before the end of the year for sure. But this is the last video. Stay tuned for more content soon. Tyler, best of luck with the rest of the 2 weeks that the year has to offer.
You too, my friend.
Thank you. If you watch some good stuff, obviously, let me know, and I'll vice versa.
Will do.
But for all you viewers at home, thanks for tuning in to the last 2020 episode of Silver Screen Scrutiny. Tyler Harner, Matt Mastrangelo. Thank you, everybody.